Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Michelle Calloway, your host for Tech with Heart. And today we're going to be talking about automation and how effectively you can use it in your follow-up procedures. So I'm very thrilled about our guest today. His name is Byron Ingraham, and I'm going to do a little quick introduction for Byron so then I can give him the floor and help you all learn and understand how just easy it is to do effective follow-up. So Byron Ingraham is a business strategist, best-selling author, speaker, and podcaster. So he's definitely doing a lot to get the word out to help people. He's able to strategize with you virtually anywhere in the world and has helped many businesses globally. As a business strategist, Byron works with business owners and entrepreneurs to develop the business and marketing processes that will attract and retain ideal clients, leveraging Facebook advertising, sales funnels, and messenger marketing. Byron is also a veteran of the U.S. Air Force. Thank you very much for your service, Byron. And he specialized in developing businesses around the globe located on Air Force installations. And his methods have led to winning numerous performance awards in top organizations. So welcome to Tech with Heart, Byron. Thank you so much. Yay! Woohoo!
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So Byron, I know you're a digital marketing expert, and that's why I've asked you to join us on their Tech with Heart platform today. What we try to do is we try to empower business owners as far as what it is that they should be paying attention to, especially in regards to technology, so that they don't get left behind because they're not doing things more advanced, like, you know, in the day of Amazon, where businesses are getting shut down left and right because they aren't adapting, they're not staying agile, and they're not staying relevant. So let's go ahead and open the topic of follow-up. Tell us a little bit about what you think about how important follow-up is in business.
Follow-up is like, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top of the sundae. It's just a necessity because in today's day and age, only a small percentage of people are going to buy the first time they see your advertisement, an email, you name it, only a small percentage. Everybody else, comes in the follow-up. So think about it. Have you ever walked into, let's say you're buying a house. It's not like you just say, you know what, I like this house. Let me write a check and there it is. No, there's a whole process that you're looking at multiple houses, you're following up, making sure it's the right one or if that's still available. And the list goes on and on, but typically it's in the follow-up. So because of that, if you look at the data, most of the time people make a buying decision between 5 and 8 contact points. And it's getting to be even more and more in today's day and age because we just live in that type of technology where people are bombarded by so many messages that, getting someone to say yes right away is kind of difficult. So we have to follow up in order to not leave money on the table.
Okay, so we just heard how important follow-up really is, and I know it is a real struggle for a lot of small businesses. They know that they need to be out networking. They know they need to be out there trying to drive traffic to their website, and some of them are doing a pretty good job on that, but they're completely and epically failing on the follow-up part. So today's topic is going to be about follow-up and how we can apply some automations to it. But we don't want to just dive right into the automation because there's a human factor that we need to really talk about real quick. When should we decide to automate our follow-up procedures? Byron, do you have any input on that?
Well, at all levels, you can use some type of automation in terms of a system. Because automation doesn't mean that it's completely hands-free. It just means that you need to have a system. So let's say that you're out networking. You might have a checklist that it's, okay, you meet somebody. So then 24 hours later, you're sending them a text message that, okay, if you get their business card, sending them a handwritten note. So there's certain things into automation by following a process. That is the way that you want to do it. So you don't want to just kind of shoot from the hip all the time because then you don't know what you should be doing versus being very systematic in terms of approach. But of course, you can only do that if you're just constantly, say, following the belly to belly principle, and there's only so many people you're talking to. Once you're marketing online, you're not going to be able to do things the same way. So that's where automation comes in terms of a full automation where you're using technology to take care of that comes into play.
Okay, so what I'm also hearing you say is that how important it is for us to have a plan, a system in place, whether that be a semi-automated, automated, or like a hands-on approach to the follow-up. There needs to be some form of a system. To those who are listening, that just means a plan. It's a organized structure of how you're going to handle your prospects or the people that you meet, because you will find that people fall into different categories, especially when you're doing, like he calls, the belly to belly networking. That's in-person networking. So let's just say, for instance, right, you meet somebody and you really hit it off, and you can tell that this is somebody that you really want to stay close to, whether they end up becoming a client of yours or not. You can just tell that there's a real quality connection there, and perhaps, you never know, you can end up be JV partners with them or whatever. You definitely don't want to just follow up with them to just push your product or your service. You want to make sure that you're reaching out to them in a way that is far more bringing on that next level of that connection. It's like, I think that I really love meeting you. I want to build a relationship with you. And sometimes meeting with those people, again, through a one-on-one, through a Zoom call, for instance, may be a good follow-up procedure. Whereas the others who showed some interest, maybe you can just send them a quick little introductory email reminding them of where you met, or doing a post on in Messenger or on Facebook or something. I mean, am I kind of going down the right path? I'm just trying to help them understand how different people fall into different categories.
Okay. So let's dive into a little bit of how to best follow up with people. One of the best ways is because everybody today has a phone. It's, unless they live in some backwoods town in the middle of nowhere that they're still working on indoor plumbing, that you really have to think, how do you connect with somebody with their phone? Because if you're just sending them an email, well, guess what happens? It gets lost. People don't see it right away because open rates are a lot lower. Most people are not checking their emails constantly if they're very much into productivity. They may look at it twice a day. And if they're on vacation, they're not going to see it. However, if you send somebody a text message saying, hey, it was great meeting you last night at the networking event. I'd love to sit down and have coffee with you. When's a good time? Well, guess what? Now they see it, because 95% of people see a text message within 5 minutes of receiving it. So then you're going to have a much higher probability, one, they're going to see it, and then two, they're going to respond to it. And that's what you want, because the vast majority of people this is what a lot of people do. They go to a networking function, they gather up all the emails from people, and then they put them into the autoresponder. Epic fail. You don't want to do that, because that's the easiest way to make someone think, you don't even know my name. Delete, spam, block, and they never want to talk to you. And then when they see you at another event, what are they doing? They're going in the other direction, like, oh yeah, there's that guy, I'm out of here. Because they're just going to pitch me instead of getting to know who you are. Because follow-up is essential, and you have to do it right. I'll give you a great example in terms of why it's always important. Earlier today, someone made a post on Facebook. You're talking about, hey, I'm going to help people do this. I was curious about what exactly are they doing? Because, I might want to say, hey, let me refer some people to them. But their response was, oh, I'm not in the mood for an interview right now. Like, wait, you post something to look for people, look for clients, but then when someone asks you about you're not in the mood, well, guess what happens? They go into the naughty list, so no matter what, they won't receive referrals. When it comes to following up with people, if you put something out there, it doesn't matter what level of interest somebody has, you want to follow up, because you don't know what can come of it. And that's super important, because people are curious and they make buying decisions based off of emotions. So if they feel that they're not interested in what you're curious about or what you have to say, guess what happens? Nothing. And that's the last thing you want, because you do that too many times, you're left on an island because you burn down all the bridges.
Yes, I was just actually talking to one of my clients today about how important it is to nurture your relationships, and don't just blast blah, 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 all over people, you know?
Right.
Let me just take us to the next point then, because we know how important it is to follow up. We know that you just mentioned how important it is to have systems in place so that we can actually
Right.
have a plan for when we come back from those networking events, because otherwise it's all for naught, right? You just
Right.
get overwhelmed, you're working too much on this or that, and you lose sight, and it's been too long now to reach out to those people. It feels weird. You don't even know what to say, you know? So if you have
Right.
a plan in place, you can just get on it, get to it, as they say.
Right.
But now, let's talk about for those people who are very overwhelmed with just their day-to-day tasks. They came back, they've got like at least 100 people that they want to follow up with, okay?
Yeah.
So how do we go about automating certain things so that that labor-intensive part of the follow-up, at least the initial follow-up, what are some of your suggestions on how, besides sending one text at a time, because you mentioned text over email, how do we
Yeah.
go about automating those systems?
Okay, so there's certain ways that you can do something and certain ways that you're not. If someone hands you their business card, you're going to want to have some type of a manual type of follow-up, because that's what they're expecting them, because they're being treated as an individual. So one way that you can be able to, let's say, simplify that process, guess what? Use your phone. Record a short little video saying, hey, it was great meeting you last night at the networking event. I'd love to learn a little bit more about your business. Let me know what days and times work great for you to sit down and have coffee. The way I said that was in a way that can apply to anybody. So then you send that same video to everyone. Of course, you send it individually. You don't want to do one big mass spam thing, because then people are like, wait, that doesn't look right. But guess what? The individual doesn't know that you sent that to 99 other people, unless they all worked at the same company. Then, well, that's different. But in this case here, they feel like, wow, you took the time to shoot a video. Yeah, let's sit down and have coffee. It's a much higher response rate because you took the time. Because most people are just going to send a quick text. It doesn't take you any longer to shoot, like say what I said in video, than it is to type a text out.
That's brilliant, Byron. Let me just point out why that's brilliant. I mean, what he just suggested that we do is take a story form medium, which is video, and create a quick little story about how we valued meeting this person, and then we wanted to invite them to come and join us in a conversation over coffee or over Zoom or whatever. But you're creating one video one time that can be equally presented to everybody, and nobody feels that it's not generated just specifically for them. That's actually very brilliant. And another thing what that does is it separates you from everybody else. So good job, Byron. That was an awesome concept. So that first touch, very, very manual. Copy, paste, copy, paste.
Right. Now that's if it's just a regular networking thing. Now let's say that it's more of a trade show where you're just gathering all the different emails from people. So there's a couple things that you can do there. One is, this in terms of like leveraging technology, it's having people, let's say, enter to win a free giveaway or something like that. And then you can leverage various email autoresponders, texting autoresponders, things like that to begin the follow-up process. So just keep in mind that even if that you have an automated way to initiate the touch points, the goal in here is to acknowledge that you see them. That's the most important thing, because most people, that's all they want is to be acknowledged. But then after that, add in some type of manual interaction. So let's say that you have a sales team and you're divvying up the leads accordingly. Call them, be personable, because people want that. Because the vast majority of people are not going to take the time to do that. They think, oh yeah, you're just going to send me all your stuff until I buy from you, or I just run in the other direction. But you start creating a personal relationship there. Even though you're heavily using automation, now they're curious. So it depends on the business how you can be able to best incorporate that, what type of systems you're using, but definitely incorporate, some type of manual follow-up in the midst of all the automation.
So Byron, since this is Tech with Heart, we do talk about technology on this show. Is there a couple of tools that you find more useful than others when it comes to some of that form of automation, automatic drip campaigns or whatnot, whether it be email or text or messenger? Because I do understand what you're just saying as far as there is people who are signing up to win something then automatically that can be an auto responder response because
Right.
they understand that, they're expecting that. But but the next one is when you meet somebody in person and you've had a conversation and you didn't necessarily pitch, you just made a relationship, then that needs to be handled very separately. So there's those people that can automatically go into an automated flow, and then there's those who really require more of a personal touch. So
Right.
tell us a little bit about some of the tools that you use or you would suggest people look into for some of that automation.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about 3 different automated type ways you can add some follow-up, and they all work very similarly. So the first one that you can do is obviously, guess what? It's been on for ages. It's an email autoresponder. So you can put people in and you have them, guess what? Receive an email marketing campaign. That's the most basic thing that you can be able to do. Just know that it's not going to have the highest touch points because the open rates being so low. But that's the most basic thing that people can do. Now, the next, and these are going to get more in terms of complexity as I go into them. The next thing that you can be able to do in terms of automation, let's say that of people, they scan a QR code, they take some type of action at this event where you can now connect with them on Facebook Messenger. And and why this is powerful is on leveraging Messenger versus email. Open rates on Messenger with campaigns are typically over 80% versus 20% with email. So think about that. With the same number of people that you're contacting that are on that list, 4 times the amount of people are going to see your message. That can have a profound impact on what you're doing. You just have to take a different approach than email. You might have this long drawn out thing. Well, you're not going to send somebody this long dissertation in a messenger. You'd be like, oh, heck no, am I reading that? So you have to treat it like if you're talking to one of your friends, like, hey, what's going on? Whatever language resonates with you, you treat it that way, and now you can have engagement. So it takes a little bit more to set up, but in terms of increasing the results, it now allows you to interact with people in a more natural fashion because people are shifting over to Messenger, into text messaging, so you can connect with them that way. And also what it allows you to do, if you take this approach, you can be able to easily have them, let's say, see a video on your Facebook page, like, hey, I shot this really great video that talks about what we do, check it out. And you can drive them over there. So that just goes down a whole rabbit hole with creating engagement and things, but that's something that you can be able to do. But this leads into the third way of what I recommend, how you can be able to incorporate it, but it's a little bit more advanced. And this is leveraging Facebook ads. So what you're doing is you're creating a custom audience with all the people, and then you have people seeing a series of videos that are very intentional about what exactly you're offering. So, you might say, let's say that you're a pizza company. You might say, hey, we're the best pizza place that's, in town, let's say the Bay Area. Like, if you're looking for this, this, and this, if you want wood fired, if you want gluten-free, you want cauliflower, we have that. You can be able to do things along those lines to begin creating exposure. So you're educating people, because otherwise, you don't necessarily have that ability to do so. So you can be able to, let's say, give people an intro to your product and services. You can be able to showcase testimonials from happy clients that are similar to them. There's so many things that you can be able to do, but because of that, they're now seeing things that they normally wouldn't do, but because you're exposing them to your brand differently, when they sit down with you, well, guess what happens? Like, oh my gosh, I love that one thing that I saw an ad that came on my newsfeed that talked about how you helped blank. Well, guess what that does? They're now excited because they get to know you more. And these are all different touch points. So if you think about it, if you connect with somebody over Messenger, you sent them an email, you send them a text message, they saw ads on Facebook, all of them are touch points. But let's say that by the time you sit down with them, they've had, let's say, 10 different exposures to you. Do you think it's gonna be a little bit easier to close the sale at that point versus like going, who are you again?
That's a really great advice, Byron. Thank you so much for sharing that. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how we can maintain quality human connection through these automations. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back. The problem is that business owners are losing millions of dollars of potential revenue each year because they don't know how to stand apart from the competition. I'm Michelle Calloway. I am the founder and CEO of Revealio, an augmented reality marketing tool that we've created for business owners like you to help you captivate people's attention.
Oh, that's so cool.
Influence their buying decisions.
I like it.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
That's right.
Oh, I want that.
I love it.
We do this by making your brand or product come alive with virtual content. You can actually take a viewer through the entire buyer's journey in less than 60 seconds. It's super easy to do. Just send us your artwork, send us your video, and we'll connect them and make the magic happen. So start standing out and influencing today. All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. This is Tech with Heart, where we are here to empower business success in a digital era. And we have our digital marketing expert, Byron Ingraham, with us today. And we're talking about automation and follow-up and how to use it effectively. But now we're going to talk a little bit more about building relationships through that follow-up that you weren't able to necessarily always establish at the point of connection in the first place. So you've been to a networking event, you met some amazing people. Usually it's quite short, you want to then learn more about that person and you want to build that relationship. Byron spoke about some automating tools that we could use to work with us in our manual, semi-manual, and then automated follow-up processes. So let's go ahead and start talking a little bit more. He had spoken about Facebook advertising to your target audience based upon the list that you compile from the people you meet and get in front of them so they can learn a lot more about you at different touch points, video, different posts. They can learn a whole lot more about you and what you stand for and what your product or service is all about. But Byron, let's talk a little bit more about how we can effectively maintain quality human connection through any and all form of automation. So if you want to speak a little bit about Facebook, perhaps, that's a place to start.
Well, regardless of automation, one way that you could truly connect with people would be in a Facebook group. Because if you have the opportunity, or you can go ahead and look it up, take a look to see what Mark Zuckerberg said in his keynote address during the F8 conference in 2019. And if they had to rebuild Facebook over again, it would have been centered around groups and around Messenger. So we already talked about Messenger a little bit, but let's dive into groups, because you see, people have an innate sense of wanting to belong to a community. If you look at how people grow up, of everything, it's always of how people want to really come together. You look at every aspect of society, it's groups. You look at, there's different countries, different states, different cities and counties and so forth, but it's all centered around some way that people can belong. It's a natural human behavior. So if you leverage a group around a particular topic, a cause, you're now pulling people in together. This way people can share their experiences, and that's what people want. People want to have an easy way to communicate and know that someone understands them. That's the most important thing. So let's just say, for example, it's just picking something at random. Like, let's say it's a mom's group, because these are everywhere on Facebook. Well, guess what? All the people that are typically in it are moms. So the things they're discussing, they're mom type things. So as a result of it, if someone has a business, let's say they're catering to moms, and they started let's say it was the ultimate Bay Area moms group, just making something up there. And they invited all the moms into it, and they want to promote different products. Well, let's say that they wanted to promote kitchen knives. They just did a demo saying, hey, I got tired of all my knives getting really dull when I'm cooking dinner for my family. So I found these really great ones that I sharpen them once a year, and they work great. I can cut through almost anything. Well, guess what happens? Now people want to buy them. It can be something, let's say if a person's a roofer, well, then they can have, let's say it's the Bay Area homeowners repair group or something interesting like that. And it's just talking about, here's handy dandy tips to help keep your home in repair. It doesn't have to be anything that's specifically about roofing, but you throw the things in there occasionally. And guess what happens? Well, now when a storm comes through, you can easily be able to talk about it with people. Like just the other day here in Dallas, we had a nasty storm come through, a tornado touchdown. If a person did that, well, guess what they can easily do in their group? Like, oh my gosh, hey, we're here, just shoot us a text message. We're going to come out there and take a look to see what type of damage that's there and get your home back in order right away. Because they spent all this time nurturing guess what happens? They've now cut off any other option other than using that person, because this comes into the idea and the concept known as reciprocity. If you give people value consistently, they're going to feel compelled to return the favor. So by you constantly over delivering on value, guess what happens? You're not asking for anything, but then when you ask for something, in their mind, it's like, there's an imbalance. There's a debt that has to be paid. So what are they going to do? They're going to go to you. So things are back in balance again.
I love that, because, you know, the people are people. When as a business owner, you need to think of people as people. They are moms, they are sisters, they're fathers, and sons. And, you know, we have to make sure that we are not forsaking what we would normally, if we weren't a business owner, and take that out of the question. How do we treat people? We want to obviously make them feel that we are a quality person. We want to help them understand who we are, and that they can trust us. I love the value add that you talked about. Give value all the time, and that's what I try really hard to do. Is I want to be a source of encouragement, empowerment for small business owners, and that's why I started up this Tech with Heart network. And it's an act of love, really. But along the way, I believe it's going to seriously empower people, because technology is a huge pain point for a lot of people. And I want to break down that barrier, and I want to make technology a little bit easier to like step into and engage with conversations like this, you know, and taking it to the next level. So yeah, quality connection, quality, you know, nurturing in groups. It takes time, but will it pay off? For sure. So that is a great tip. Thanks, Byron.
Right. It's very powerful when you use them, because then you have that community you're always able to tap into. And that's the most important thing, that you become that trusted authority amongst them. So if you think like, well, how can being the trusted authority make a difference? Let's look at a great example. Look at Oprah. What did she do over several decades of being on the air? She interviewed people and provided value and built a following. So now, because of that, anything she puts out turns into this massive success, because she has a following and a community that sees her as an authority. And that's what you're able to do when you leverage a group property. People see you as the authority.
So let's talk real quick before we wrap it all up about Messenger a little bit more, because I know that there's ways to automate that. And that actually is a lot more conversational. Boy, do I love that kind of concept, because I'm all about interactive engagement. So let's, give us some tips.
Okay, so let's dive into deal with Messenger. So let's think about it here. When it comes to communicating, 54% of people prefer to do business with, guess what, a business that they can message. Look at the number of times that you will message a business like via chat or something like that if you need support, versus, let's say, picking up the phone or you're emailing them. I can't remember the last time I've done that. Most of the time when I need support for something, I'm using Messenger. I'm using that chat feature, because I don't want to get on the phone. I'm doing other things. I can send them a message, go back to doing something else. I get a little notification, ta-da, oh, they responded. And then I go about my day accordingly. The way we communicate it has shifted. So by leveraging Messenger, we're communicating with people where they are. That's the most important thing, because if you look at Messenger apps, if you go to your app stores, they're essentially one of your most downloaded apps, period, because people use them consistently day in and day out. There's quite a few people I can think of that I don't even call them on their regular phones anymore. I'm just calling them via Messenger. If people are in different parts of the world, like, oh crap, what is their number? Like, I really don't know what it is, because I never use it. And I've actually had that happen where a friend changed their number, like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell everybody, because I just call everybody on Messenger. So the way we communicate shifts, but when it comes to leveraging it in business, we're able to do some things that are quite interesting, such as we can send out offers to people via Messenger. We can be able to follow up with them, let's say in terms of customer support, because most people, they have the same questions. Use the whole example of a pizza place. The average person is going to have the same types of things like, hey, what's the menu, where are you located, what are your hours, things like that. You can automate those responses, because you don't need to have someone pick up the phone and say, yes, we're open until 10 o'clock tonight. Well, that takes someone away from doing something else. You can use that in almost any type of business. Let's say you have an e-commerce store. Someone wants to know the status of their order. Well, then you can use Messenger to figure that out. You can use Messenger to give people delivery updates. I mean, the list goes on in terms of how you can leverage it. Ultimately, it comes down to think of it as an employee that doesn't get sick, doesn't need time off, doesn't need to take vacation or anything like that. They're always there working for you 24/7. And because of that, you take a little time to set it up, but it saves you so much more energy, because then what you're able to do is, instead of having to respond to when are you closed, where are you located, that type of stuff, you're able to engage with people in conversations and increase the customer service aspect, the customer rapport, because you now can focus really on that human to human interaction instead of, yeah, I just had this quick question, see you later, versus someone like, I was curious, can you tell me more about that product? And well, then you can engage with them. That's what it frees you up to do, which is what you ultimately want. And then you're able to communicate with people in different aspects. So you can send people a short video. Let's say that instead of a traditional opt-in, let's say you have an offer that you want people to give you their email address. Well, you can have them do it via Messenger and say, and the first thing you get is a video from you. This is talking about, hey, thanks for giving the offer of it. I'll send it right over to you. All you need to do is click the little button below, and then we'll send it over your way. That's totally possible to do. You can send audio messages. Think of it, all those types of things you would love to do to increase that personal interaction. That's what's possible with it that you really can't do inside of email. Like, for example, with video. And with the different tools that are out there for Messenger, you can embed a video right inside of the Messenger sequencing. So someone just hits the little play button and it's playing right there. However, in email, if you're wanting to send a video to somebody, guess what they're doing? There's a thumbnail inside of the email. Now they click on it and they're going to whatever website that is being hosted on, whether it's an email provider or if it's a video in YouTube or Dropbox or whatever. Well, that's cumbersome versus the flow of communication is right there, which is powerful.
Yes, thank you so much for that quick little introduction of the concept, because Byron and I believe so much in interactive engagement. We believe in the building of relationship through our follow-up processes. So we're actually going to be hosting a presentation that's showing you a little bit more about what he's talking about when it comes to leveraging Messenger for effective follow-up. And then after that, he'll be hosting a workshop to allow you to come in and do some hands-on training if you're interested as well. So stay tuned for that. It's coming soon. And we just want to make sure that we help you to feel empowered, not just informed, but empowered as to how you can do this for your business as well. Mm-hmm. So it's so important. I know I personally love the ability with the chat bots or the messengers, be able to choose to interact with a company via that module, because I'm not always up for a conversation. And if you're just chatting with somebody, you don't feel that sense of, oh, they're going to try and pitch me, you know, they're going to try and sell me, or if I get them into a conversation, it's going to be awkward when I just really get to that point where I feel like I just want to hang up because they're just right. pitch, sell, or, you know, upsell, or, oh, I mean, just as a business owner though, for you to be able to be fairly regularly ability to just answer a quick question, that could just increase your sales conversions through the roof by just being able to be there and just to show the humanity side of your business. So highly recommended to look into some of these automations and use them properly so that you are indeed nurturing relationships and building quality connection. So Byron, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing this wonderful insight with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is there anything that you would like to say as far as how can somebody, if they wanted to go learn more about working with you, where you can send them?
Sure. One of the easiest things to do, you can either go to my website, which is byroningraham.com, but what I really recommend that you do is just go over to Facebook, because most people are already there, and just do a search for me and send me a message. That's the easiest way to do it. Keep it simple.
Cool. And Byron is awesome. He's a veteran and he's a heart-centered digital marketing specialist. And I really enjoy working alongside Byron. So I really recommend him if you're interested in learning more about automation. So thank you again for tuning in to this episode of Tech with Heart. We're here to empower you to be successful in a digital era. So until next time, have a great week.